Welcome in. This is your oddschecker betting preview for this week's 3M Open. I'm Rick Gehman, that right there, Geoff Fienberg. And Jeff, the PGA Tour rolls on. Open Championship, Major Championship season, all in the rear view now. Good to see you.
The bandwagon fans are gone, Rick. Like the ones that just like to hang out with us for major championships, they're gone. So the true fans of our content, I think, are here for this one this week. And like a lot of you who got their first looks at the board, is really normally after a nice win, like I'm up, like I feel like I'm going to see that board beautifully. Names like pop, things like come to you. I'm just nothing, honestly. Things did not come off the page. I couldn't, very indecisive about some of the young names we'll get to in a moment off the top. So I'm still like in a haze from the last major of the year and not really sure what exactly I'm going to do with this sucker in Minnesota.
3 golfers, sub 25-1, the big 3. Tony Finau, 14-1, the favorite. What could go wrong? Hideki Matsuyama, 16-1. Sung Jae Im, 18-1. I think there's reasonable question marks about most of these guys. Finau's been probably objectively the best player, but Tony Finau at 14-1 feels dirty.
Certainly does feel dirty, but I mean, maybe they're accounting for Tony Finau's track record in non-majors in like the last 2 months, Rick, which is like T5 is like a stretch at that point of this grouping. For me, I'd go right in the middle if I did make a play this high. Don't see myself doing it in Hideki Matsuyama, Rick. That's where I would go if forced to make one. As we know, this can turn into a very low scoring event. He excels in all conditions because he's a fabulous golfer, but he really does seem to take advantage of low scoring conditions better than any of those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's a lot of water lurking out there. You can get some long shots. Cam Champ won this over 100-1. Michael Thompson the same. And I even think when Wolf won this in 19, his odds were fairly deep down the betting board. Do you remember?
I don't remember. I know I was sitting with a Bryson ticket who he outdueled at the end, but yeah, it would have been one up there. There's a lot of hype around him, but so I doubt it was short, but certainly not the top.
He was, 125-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right out of the gate there.
So Firecracker. Yeah. So this has been one where I feel silly to maybe be shopping here, but sometimes you can't resist, Rick.
Yeah, a bunch of guys at 25-1. Adam Hadwin, Cam Davis, Davis Riley, Mav McNeely, Sahith Tagala. Literally all of them are 25-1. Then we can throw Cam Tringale, Charles Howell III, and Mark Hubbard into the mix as well, Jeff. The kind of next tier here. We just talked about some of the guys who have won this event at longer odds. Are we clicking this range or should we keep on scrolling?
So I'm attracted to this range, but I haven't made my move yet. I haven't approached anyone at the bar just yet here, Rick, because no one I'm running to make, but it would be Cam Davis, Sahith, Mav. Like I'm circling around them. I'll give a second look. If you know how I bet, I'm probably still like to bet on the good players in the field. And I still see this as, despite the Michael Thompson situation, I'm always more beholden. We talk about it often too, to sort of bet on the breakthrough. So I'm really, that's where I would probably spend my money. Cam Davis, Mav, probably leading the way. Just quickly, any thought, like, are guys that played the Open, is that a detractor for you? For me, I look at it like the guys I would want to bet are so young, I don't care about jet lag. Like that wouldn't be a thing for me because the guy I would want, like Sahith is so young, I don't think that matters.
I don't think it does either. I've also probably bet more. McNeely and Davis are probably the two guys I've bet the most this year. The one thing that I do want to get your thoughts on, Jeff, Davis Riley, I think we can agree is just like unlimited talent, unlimited upside, but playing for the first time since I think Travelers. Like we haven't seen him in a while. And I'm almost more worried about the guy who plays for the first week than I am the guy who's, 4 out of 7 and coming back from Scotland.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I was actually hoping we would get a bigger number on Riley as you move down. I thought maybe he could show out in that mid-30s or flirt with that Nick Hardy number, but that's not the case. They are not going to let us they're not going to let us get something attractive on Riley. So surrounded by those other names, I'd probably go in other directions.
Yeah, Hardy, you mentioned at 40. You can also get some appealing kind of darlings in this area of Adam Svensson at 45-1, Chris Gotterup at 50. Anything here, Geoff, that is going to tickle your fancy?
Yeah, so I shouldn't say that. The first bet I have made on a slow day of bets with funded accounts is that Gotterup at the 50. Playing the ceiling, feel like it can all work. Was so short a few weeks ago. Didn't have anything on him for that one. Really enjoyed his second place. I saw him out partying after that one. Nice little come down, ready for the comeback up for me for Gotterup. And Dylan Fratelli is a guy just in behind here who would have my attention, Rick. And like a lot of people, Svensson is a player. Nice little run at the Barbasol. You're always hoping for bigger numbers, but I guess off the 25, you would have had to bet him at the Barbasol. This feels like a bit of a reprieve. So anything 45, 50, I am swimming around Svensson.
Yeah, you should be shopping all of these. The Dylan Fratelli number as short as 50 on the grid, as long as 66-1. So certainly some viable options out there. And then we start to get into the range of golfers that have won this over the first three editions. Thompson back to defend his title at 80-1. If you can get into the triple digits, you can find a Danny Willett or a Hayden Buckley, maybe even a Stuart Sink, who is as long as 100, as short as 70. Geoff, where could we throw darts down in this range?
So I know you might be also, Rick. The fairways are wide here, but if you miss them, you'll find real trouble, which I guess is fair. That's PGA Tour golf. But Bo Hostler flirting with 100-1 does feel like somebody who, I want to say he's tasted a little smoke this year on a Sunday. He's been consistent. That is one that does have my attention. If you really do want to play into that Matthew Wolff, Cam Champ narrative, it's a guy like Joseph Brantlett, I think flirting in that 150 range, who I have been looking at. And I got talked into a little Cole Hammer action where if by our friend Pat Mayo today, Rick, who he's out there on the grid, even as high as potentially 500-1 out there is Cole Hammer. So I don't play in that complete like prospect ceiling young gun play here to the extreme would be that Cole Hammer call. But past history shows you this is where maybe you should throw him. If you can get one of those huge Cole Hammer numbers and able to play each ways with placings, that could be attractive for you. But yeah, that's sort of who I have. I'm going to bet this thing. I'm going to have my same like 4 to 6 names I usually do every week. But I'm really I don't want to say at a loss, but nothing is feeling like it feels right. I make losing bets all the time, but on Monday they feel right. Maybe that's a good thing. I can't get a vibe for any of this. All that being said, the 3 iterations of this event, I think the course has been incredibly entertaining, and I'm expecting a real entertaining week, a weekend of golf, despite the lack of field strength. I think we're going to have a real fun one.
Yeah, you get a bunch of young guys who have just turned pro. You get a bunch of high ceiling or guys that you don't know their ceiling playing on a golf course with a lot of water lurking and a lot of them trying to get a big time win for maybe the first time. And it just creates drama and nervous stuff and guys that have to come out and actually cap it off. So it ends up being generally quite fun and potentially profitable.
And I remember like the par fives. Like, I love a par 5 that plays like a true par 5. But when you have par 5s, I remember last year, like you were getting an equal split of like 3s and 7s. Right. And that's a ton of fun also. Like that's incredibly entertaining knowing like these things can flip quickly. And we've seen some incredibly fun finishes here as well. So again, the field is weak. It's the week after they're, across the pond. That's, used to be Canada in this spot. It had a weak field. That's just natural. But I think we're going to get a fun one despite I don't know what to call it, my lack of commitment to a betting board right now, Rick.
That might work out. It's like when you can't find anything on the driving range and you go out and you play a nice round. It's just like we're just shanking a couple at the range right now. We'll figure it out when we get out there. All right, Geoff Fienberg's available on Twitter at GFienberg17. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been your Odds Checker betting preview. Good luck.